Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Surrogate Social. We're so glad to see everybody. And we have a very special guest with us, our very own Cheyenne, who's an active surrogate with us. And then I always have my sidekick, Jessica, with me. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you so much for joining us, Cheyenne. So Cheyenne is a holistic healer, and this is her own practice that she has. This is her day-to-day life. And so we wanted to talk to her about this and just kind of learn more about it, honestly, like just, how we can incorporate this into our own lives, and then also how it can be very helpful for surrogates and just IVF in general. So I really wanted to kind of start, Cheyenne, if you could explain like what led to this, how you started this and how your practice started and how you've already kind of incorporated it into your own surrogacy already.
Yeah. First, thank you guys so much for having me today. I'm really grateful to have this space to share because that is my favorite thing, to share my knowledge of a different approach to healing. And what better way than to do it through a journey of pregnancy and fertility. So thank you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we're so
Um,
excited. Thank you so much.
yeah. So I started this surrogacy journey for one because my brother-in-law and his wife were trying. They were going through IVF. For many years, they went through a lot of complications and ups and downs. And, I've carried three of my own. So I thought if I could be of any assistance, it was a no-brainer. Like
Right.
we kind of started with the intention of helping them. And then she ended up having a beautiful baby at 23
Yeah,
weeks, and she's thriving, and she gets to come home in 2 weeks. So we're very excited about that.
that's great.
But with the healing journey of itself, I actually am a young mom. I had my child, my first one, at 17. And I
Hmm.
lived a very reckless teenage life, which I think most of us go through those phases of wanting to be a rebellious teen. Ultimately, mine ended in a child at 17, which she has always been my greatest blessing because she flipped my world upside down. I mean, I
Right.
had to reinvent myself to be the best version of myself, however that looked in that moment, to be a good mom for her. And so
Yeah.
that started my journey of diving into how to regulate my nervous system, how to heal from past traumas that ultimately I didn't even know were considered traumas. It was just my life. That was how I chose to live. And so it was like a deep dive, peeling layers back, trying to figure out who I was to be the best mom that I could be.
And how are you finding that education? Like, is it just like self-taught? Are there programs? Like, how did you even find that in the beginning?
Yeah, so originally I started by going to massage therapy school,
Oh, yeah.
and that opened the door to so much with what our body holds on to. And our
Mm.
body, I'm sure everybody has probably heard, if not, you're going to hear about it, is the
Yeah.
body keeps the score. It's a great book about how our body holds on to every single experience we've ever gone through. So when I
Hmm.
went through massage therapy school, that kind of opened that up to me, like, wow, we really do hold all the emotions, all the memories deep into ourselves. And
Hmm.
so, after going through that, I've always been one that wants to continue. There's always more to learn. There's always deeper education I can get into. And that's what led me into energy work. So then I
Mm.
became a Reiki master, and my Reiki
Hmm.
master is actually my grandmother. So this is a lineage of alternative healing. She was actually taught by one of the original Usui Reiki masters. So it's a very close lineage of traditional Reiki. So I've been doing that for 15 years. And of course,
Hmm.
then it just kind of snowballs into I wanted to do breath work, and breath work just kept popping up. And so I explored trauma informed breath work through Pause, which is
Mm.
a world known platform of trauma informed breathwork education. It's a 6 month
Hmm.
program. I also took the breathwork level 2, and then I went into the somatic program, which was also through Pause. And so that's where I became trained in more of a somatic approach, which is using not just the breath, but using the body and movement and sound to let these emotions move through our body. So it's
Oh,
very
okay.
much like a bottom up approach to healing. It's not in the aspect of talking it out or thinking our way through it. It's letting our bodies feel our way through it.
Right. So like, I've been like, so correct me if I'm wrong, but like in acupuncture treatment, like I've been told like, oh, like because I've had C-sections, like I've been told this multiple times, like, oh, your C-section scars hold so much trauma. And I've always needed a lot of work on my C-section scars. So is it the same concept of like
Absolutely.
my body's holding that trauma? Not that I think a C-section is a trauma, but my body has trauma from the incision, right? Is that that's what the thought is? Okay.
So on that aspect, that's physical trauma because you went through 7 layers of your human body. But on a deeper level of that, we hold on to the emotional trauma because, for one, nobody ever goes into a pregnancy thinking like, yes, I want 7 layers of my body ripped out just to have a baby.
Right.
Or the healing process of, now my body isn't up to par and I have to continue being a mom and supporting, and they expect me to get up. And so we're going through the emotions of that as well. And so the emotions of going through that process of, laying on the bed, getting that baby taken out, going through all those layers and having to heal layer by layer ultimately does trap the emotions in there, because as a mom, we don't give ourselves the time to process exactly what we just went through.
Right,
it's kind
for sure.
of like, oh, your baby's here now. You have to get the baby to latch and change the diapers. And you probably have kids at home and your husband needs you. And, you kick back into that survival of mom mode. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. So, okay. So then now let's kind of circle back to your personal experience as a surrogate already. So, because this is something that when you got accepted to the program, we immediately connected on, that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to have you share this with all the girls when we kind of run into these roadblocks or holding on to like disappointments or setbacks. But I kind of want to go back to you, Cheyenne. Like, we've already kind of had not a disappointment, but a little bit of a setback right at medical screening, right? And so then how have you already kind of used your own techniques to work through this with med screen? And we can, if you are willing, kind of talk about what we went through at med screen.
Yeah.
And how you felt that day. Like, you came here to the office and you were defeated just like any human would be, and we talked it through. But then how also did you use your techniques to get you through it and move forward?
Yeah, so absolutely, that was a little bit of a setback, and there was disappointment, and
Yeah,
there was
for
a
sure.
little bit of like blame and shame that came with that as
100%.
well. So yeah, with the med screening. Yeah, go
What
ahead.
happened?
Yes,
Yeah.
Okay.
So with the med screening, I went in and I had scar tissue that they could not flush out. I mean, they tried twice to really get it to come out, and it was just like hanging on, not ready to release, and that was it.
So because she had an IUD and it hadn't had time to like cycle through to heal quite yet. And so that's what it was. Yeah.
Okay. And just real quick too, for listeners that may not know what they're doing at the medical screening, it's the hydro flush through the uterine, right? Okay. So they're going in there and they're taking a look at the uterus to see any possible scar tissues or anything else that might, be not like an issue, but kind of like, a setback or whatever to being able to carry.
Right. So yeah, they're looking for scar tissue. They're looking for abnormalities. They're looking for fluid. And a lot of times that can be quite literally flushed out or removed, or you need another period cycle, and then it will be normal. But it's just, you kind of go in there and you think like, oh, I got this. Like, I've had 3 babies, like, and then you're like, wait, what? And so exactly like we say, oh, it's going to be don't feel guilty. It's fine. And then it's really easy to say that. And then Cheyenne literally sat in my office is like, but, I do feel guilty and I do feel sad, and so we quite literally have to go through the whole process. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes to all of that, because I went through all of that. I was like, I've had 3 kids. I mean, I've carried 3 kids, no problem. So what would be the setback? And then, yes, I had fluid from my IUD still. There was a little bit of scar tissue left. So ultimately, I had to go in after my next cycle to do another sonohystogram, which ended up coming back clear. But in that moment, it was very much like, well, this is it. I guess this was fun for a minute and the journey's over and now I can't do it.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Yeah. I was like, well, thanks for the trip to San Diego, and I guess I'll go home.
Yeah.
So yeah,
my husband hated to fly. I had to get him on a plane. It was awful.
Yeah, and that too. He was like very resistant to flying. He has some serious fears.
Yeah.
Like, what an experience already. So by the time
we're already back on track, right?
Yes, yeah. So by the time we got to Monica at their facility, I had already kind of thought and like created this whole mental mind story of defeat, of blame, of shame. And, you know, obviously I'm just not meant to carry any more kids. Like 3 done, over with, and that's it. But using a holistic approach to this, after letting my mental mind get the best of me, because it's the strongest muscle we have and it works overtime all the time. We have to remember our mind is a strong muscle that is meant to protect us. Sometimes that shows up in ways of protecting us into spaces of fear and creating a story that is so non-existent. We've just created it. It's not the reality. It's not what we're feeling. It's anchored into a story. So going to speak with Monica and having that support, I think that is the start of like a good kind of holistic somatic approach. Is not everything has to be anything more than having community. Having those people that you can talk to, that can hold space for you, that can unconditionally listen with compassion is so big for our nervous system and being seen and heard. So by the time I got into Monica and I was just like, this is it. I failed. I don't know what else to do. And she was just like, no, this happens. It's totally fine. I could feel like everything in my body, like, oh, well, if Monica says that and she's done this before, I'm good then. Yeah, I'm like, we can do this. So that's kind of the start to it. You just have to have that community and support that can nourish your nervous system in those moments of like a spiked survival, flightiness, you know, freeze, all of those states of our nervous system being dysregulated. It starts with your community. It starts with your circle of people that you can go to in those moments of, oh my gosh, this is it. We're done. You know?
Yeah.
But then I had a long plane ride home. Not long. It was only like an hour. But in that hour, I took the time to like sit and breathe through it. Because again, like I created this huge story. And then I spoke with Monica, who was like, you're totally fine. That I took that hour to like integrate those words of knowledge and wisdom from you. And then also letting my mind kind of quiet down for a minute so that my body can feed into that, like, I'm fine. This is normal. This is the process. And in that integration, I could feel my system like, there's no blame and shame anymore because this happens. It's totally okay. Not everybody has a journey, a path that is so crystal clear and straight. That's like foreign almost. So
yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Looking at it like, so we had to take a little curve, a little detour. I had to jump over a small hurdle. I'm still on the path. I'm still on the journey. I'm still supported. And so, yeah, taking that time to just sit with that and let my body process and feel through all of those emotions. Ultimately,
Yeah. So now, like somebody that's not as experienced in that and like, you know, breathing through that and, you know, processing, obviously you've been doing this a long time and like you're trained. So like, is there a technique or something that's like simplified that you know, somebody that's not as, you know, like we're kind of all overthinkers. I'm the queen of overthinking, you know, so I'm like, oh my God, like, you know, like I'm the worst overthinker and I tell all the surrogates, like, you'll be fine, you know, but I'm the queen of it. So is there like a simple technique that, you know, that we could get to ourselves, like, okay, you know, because I kind of say this similar, like, okay, let's feel our feels and then we'll get there. But is there like a simpler way or a real technique that you could teach us or give us some insight on that would help us process that? Like for girls, like similar, like that we have, you know, things that we have to get through at medical screening or failed transfers are a big one. You know, there's a lot of, you know, guilt and shame and purely disappointment with failed transfers, you know, just to kind of help girls process that because it's a disappointment. The timeline's off. They feel like they've failed their intended parents. And, you know, so like Jessica, you can kind of touch on that too, just because you've experienced that as a surrogate also. But I just didn't know if there was something that you could, you know, kind of share with us, just kind of if the girls wanted to kind of touch back onto it and be like, oh, what was that one thing Cheyenne taught us to kind of help us get through it, or like a little thought process that we could use to come back to?
Yeah. So there's so many tools that can be quick regulators in those moments. One thing that I really like to do that's pretty simple and really it's not like big and flashy.
Yeah.
It's taking a moment to like acknowledge all of your senses.
Mm.
So like just stepping back and looking around like, okay, can I name 5 things that I can see right now?
Mm.
So it kind of like shuts your mind down, and then you're focusing on the present moment. Because in the present moment, nothing chaotic is really happening. You're sitting with yourself. So it's, you know, witnessing 5 things with your eyes, and then closing your eyes and just smelling, noticing the smells of the environment you're in, noticing how it feels when you smell. Like, does it bring you a sense of peace? Does it smell funky? You know, all those things, but it takes your mind out of what you were thinking of and bringing you to that moment.
Okay.
And then listening with your eyes closed still, just listening to everything around you. And even those small things can start to calm your nervous system because you're safe. You're not in the chaos right now. You're just in the moment. And then feel, noticing what you can feel, noticing even how the air feels on your skin. And that, yeah, that just kind of slows everything down. And even tasting. Sometimes, like, you know, when you're breathing through your mouth, you can start to taste what's around in the elements. And, or like, you know, if you've just ate, it's little things as much as it's kind of like, well, that's gross, but it's taking you out of that thought.
Right. It breaks like the spiral, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
It breaks that cycle of spiraling for a moment. Another really good technique that I will go to every single time is a breath. If you breathe in through your nose as deep as you can, all the way down through like a diaphragm breath. So you'll fill it up into the belly, holding it for like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and then letting that breath completely release as slowly as possible. What that does is it drops that nervous system all the way down past its baseline. So I mean, this is over dramatic, but it sounds like, and allowing yourself just like 5 minutes of doing that, it almost puts you so into a state of rest that your nervous system feels so nourished in that moment. And giving yourself permission to just focus on the breath. Don't think about anything else. Don't overthink the breath. Just let the breath flow and acknowledge how it feels as it comes and goes, acknowledging like the coolness going through your nostrils, the fullness of your belly and chest, and then notice how slow you can get it to come out until it's completely empty. So things like that, those are just really quick nervous system regulations. But when it comes to feeling the emotions, you have to give yourself permission to feel it. You have to. It's really hard to permission yourself to do that.
Yeah.
We think it's easy until we have to sit with it.
Yeah.
But sitting with it is what is going to let it heal.
Right. And like, would you say like, oh, give yourself a couple days, or, you know, or just what it feels right for you and what that person needs?
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to honoring how long it takes you. There's no time frame on healing. There's no time frame on letting the emotions come through. I think what we get held up on is instead of feeling it, we become it. So then it becomes like, well, I'm a horrible person because I can't carry, or this is all my fault. But it's not.
Right.
It's not a you problem. It's just divine timing. It just wasn't the time. It wasn't it. And that's okay. So instead of identifying with the shame, it's just letting yourself feel it. It's not that you're not worthy. It's just not the time, and you have to let yourself feel through that.
Ooh, you make me cry. That was beautiful. Ooh, my goodness.
I'm actually surprised I'm not crying because
I know. I'm actually.
I get so emotional.
Yeah, because we can all like resonate with that, right? Even you know, we say trauma, but it could be just like a little blip in your day that throws it off. That I feel like little techniques can be implemented too.
Yeah, just in parenting, right? I mean, like if you have a toddler and you snapped at your toddler at breakfast, then you go to work and you felt guilty all day because you snapped at the kid, you know, before you, I mean, I know multiple mornings where I had mornings like that, and then it just eats at you all day long, right? So maybe before you start typing at your desk, right? Like, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. I mean, we're all just human beings, right? But I love that diaphragmatic breathing, and also because I'm like 6 weeks postpartum. I'm doing diaphragmatic breathing to like help my pelvic floor, right? So I feel like it's like a big circle of like, these are great benefits for us, like as moms, as surrogates, as a human being, a person in general, where we could take one technique and it applies to so many facets of what we're going through. So in addition to that diaphragmatic breathing, that deep 1, 2, 3, filling up your rib cage, letting it out slowly, is there any other simple like breathwork techniques that could help us as surrogates like manage the anxiety or stress during the process? Or would you say that that's like, like a really good go-to one?
Yeah. So that one is a really good go-to one, but I have two other breaths that I can share with you guys.
Yeah.
Especially one of my favorite ones when I start to feel anxious and I feel like I'm trying to like rush and like get it done. It's always like a hurry up and wait, but there's those moments of like, okay, but just hurry up.
Yeah.
And so then you put yourself into like a force energy instead of flow. A good one is called a pulse breath. So it's 2 inhales through your nose and 2 exhales out of your mouth. So
2 out, 2 in, 2 out. Okay.
So what you're doing is you're finding a rhythm back in your breath. And with that rhythm, you're finding rhythm back in your nervous system. And you're in control. So you can do it as fast and as slow. You can do it whatever feels good for you. But that is your control in those moments of anxiety, of those moments of stress. It's like, and there's times where I'm like, I could do 3 of those, 3 inhales, 3 exhales. I can do 4 inhales, 4 exhales. And then it kind of tricks your body out of getting out of that overwhelm and anxiousness. And then it becomes almost like a game. For me, at least, it becomes like a game. Like I could do this for 10 minutes now and I can keep in this rhythm. And then for me, because I do somatic work, it's almost like, and how can I incorporate that into movement in my body? So sometimes it's just like a simple like body roll where I'm like, or moving my arms or, rolling my neck around while I do it. It's simple things like that. But moving your body while breathing breaks up all that stagnant energy, moves all of those toxicities we're holding onto, all of that stuck energy through our body, and it releases so much faster. So you're not sitting in that anxiety anymore. You're not sitting in the stress and overwhelm.
Love it.
Yeah, I love that. And I think like me personally, because I am in the fitness world, right? So I like to work out and things like that. And my biggest challenge personally is breathing. Like during any workout movement, they're like, oh, slow your breathing. And I'm like, oh my God, what? I don't know. How do you do that? I mean, I'm breathing right now, but yes, there's a right way to breathe to optimize everything, right? So I just love that, you're able to share that. And again, it apply across so many things that we're, involved in every single day. And I think it's also good practice, like with the kids. Like I'm thinking about how, like,
I was thinking
I get my 4-year-old to do the, quick ins, quick outs to like calm down when I say no more iPad.
Yeah.
So that's what I was
really
thinking.
Love that.
Like on a toddler, like take a deep breath, like it's the same concept, but just more detailed. Right.
So the fastest way to pull your toddler out of it is don't have them take a deep inhale, just have them exhale it all out. Just breathe it all out. Because it doesn't spike their nervous system, it completely drops it. So when they're having a moment of like they're wound up, you just and then just pause with them. Yeah. My 4-year-old takes it to preschool all the time and he's like, hey, just breathe. I'm like, I love that.
Oh, I love it.
So cute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think
how lucky is he to have that?
Right?
Yeah.
I feel all of preschool. But I think it's so important, like you were saying, Hodge, like as a whole, like as moms, as women, we tend to put everybody, we're people pleasers. We put everybody first, and then we tend to like put ourselves last, if ever. And so I think we're like our cortisol levels are through the roof and our hormones are imbalanced for, basically from the time we start our period until we're postpartum and beyond. And so I think we just don't know what calm feels like most times, probably. You can probably speak to that more, Cheyenne, than most. But, so I think it's so important just to above and beyond surrogacy, just to find that peace and that calm for us too, just as moms and women, just day to day. And just take that few extra minutes just to find a nice, like, ground. Yeah.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about using your breath, you can breathe and drive. You can breathe and watch TV. You can still fulfill your motherly tasks, your wifely tasks, all of these things we have to do and still intentionally breathe.
Well, that's a good point. So it's not like you're like, oh, I have to stop and take like, and go leave to go to the gym or go do yoga. Like you can quite literally be at the stove and do this.
Absolutely.
Like you're not adding like, oh, I have to be extra selfish and take more time for myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's some of the mom guilt, right? Like, well, I can't go to the gym or I can't do this because I'm going to take away from the family time, or it's hard to fit that in. So that's a really great point is, or if you enjoy reading, like, maybe add in some breath work while you're reading or while you're doing your makeup in the morning or something like that. That would be maybe some techniques that girls can try. I'm going to do that in the morning when
I
I'm bored.
know. Yeah. So with all that being said, Cheyenne, like what do you do daily that maybe could be shared in like some easy new like routines that can be implemented for somebody just to stay centered throughout the day, right? We could do it when we're doing our makeup. We can do it while right when we roll out of bed or cooking breakfast for the kids. Like what are certain things that you do that you find to be the most helpful for you?
Yeah, so I have a pretty set regimen in the morning, and I know this seems like, well, that's it, but it really is, that's it.
Okay,
I wake up just in time to like go sit outside and watch the sun come up because in those few moments, for one, I'm like by myself. I can get that fresh air through my lungs as I'm breathing. I can set my intentions of how I want my day to go. And it's just mindful. It's just moments of mindfulness. And then getting those first rays of sun. I mean, I live in Arizona. So obviously, 98% of the time it's sunny. So I don't really have to worry too much. But sun gazing offers so much for your nervous system as well as your physical body. I mean, just connecting with the sun and setting that intention first thing in the morning of breathing in what I want and then getting my nervous system regulated and stepping outside barefoot on the ground. There's so much healing to grounding and getting out in dirt. And I know that's not accessible for everybody, but if you could just walk outside barefoot, that's plenty.
The sun is,
yeah. The sun alone does wonders.
So even if it's like if they like going out on a balcony in the morning or you're just stepping out your front door, quite literally simple. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. I just walk outside and I give myself that time alone, uninterrupted. And yes, it's a sacrifice because there's times I have to wake up early and be up before the kids, and my kids are early birds. But I don't ever get upset when they want to join me. I look at that as an opportunity if they want to start their day right too. They want to come sit out here and get those rays and sit in dirt and just be in stillness and quiet.
So I really like that.
Yeah, it really is such a simple thing, but it's also, it nurtures that little bit of me that needs control. And that's, one thing that I can control about my day is setting those intentions of it's going to be a good day. Right. And what I can control, and what I can't, then I just have to flow with it. And that's it.
And I'm sure too, it helps like getting that first morning sun also like helps regulate like your cortisol levels throughout the day, right? So then by the afternoon when we're dragging and we want that next boost of caffeine or the next dopamine, whatever it is, I imagine it kind of softens that need a little bit once you get into that routine.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Another morning thing that I like to do is just moving my body. It's not like in a space of workout routine. It's more like when you can let your mind quiet down and just listen to how your body's feeling and really deepen that connection to what you are feeling in your body. For me, I wake up and I'm like, oh, my lower back is so tight today. Let me offer a little bit of movement, however that looks, to kind of loosen that up. And sometimes it's just like, a fold forward and just stretching out that lower back with my arms swinging down, or it's putting my arms out to the side and offering like rotation twist, side bends, however that looks, but it's just honoring what my body's feeling and how I can move it to kind of give it a little bit more stretch and pull to release some of that tightness and tension, because ultimately there's probably something stuck there that I'm not letting move. And so with physical movement, I can begin to let those emotions move too. We hold everything so deeply. And, when you go to bed holding on to emotions still and you wake up sore, it's probably because you didn't let yourself process something. So getting out and moving.
So like my grandma always used to say that, like, oh, you have a crick in your neck because you went to bed grumpy. So that's what my grandma was talking about.
She knew. She knew.
Yeah. So that's what she was talking about. That's why your neck was cricked or whatever, right? So back to like, don't go to bed mad and all those things, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I really love that because We're always like, we're busy, right? We're moms, we have young kids, are obviously surrogates in the process, and there's always something going on. A lot of us still work full time or have other jobs or things like that. So I think for me personally, I'm going to say it out loud because then I have to do it. And then I'm going to tell my husband because he's going to hold me accountable. Is like just going out in the morning.
Yeah.
Like, I really just want to do that. And like, I feel like it's like such like, it seems like such a big task, but like, why? Like, why can't we just add that nice, yes, 5 minutes a morning, right? Like, and then get on with your day. Cause we're always so in like this rush in the mornings.
But what? You're rushing to get on your phone or rush to do what?
Yes. Like, I can imagine just feeling so nice just to like get out of bed, walk outside. I mean, maybe grab a cup of coffee. I don't know if you do that or if, I don't know, but that sounds like nice just to sit out there for a minute. And then if the kids were to follow along, that's also, I feel like, great too, because my kids are also early risers. But I think that would be like, something that I would do if, because, obviously I feel like I have no time to do anything, but would that be something that you would just also across the board recommend to busy moms or surrogates in general to kind of prioritize some self-care?
Yeah, absolutely. And self-care doesn't have to be glamorous. It doesn't have to be like a full day full of hair, nails, skin, all the things. Sometimes, self-care is really 5 minutes of alone time of what feels nurturing to you. It's like, for me, it's that like 15 minutes of sitting outside. Yeah, sometimes I take my coffee, but I intentionally do it no phones, completely disconnected, and just in pure presence. That sets the whole tone for me. And the days I miss it, I'm like longing for that 5 minutes that I missed in the morning. And I feel like it's a rush day.
And I love that too, because like Monica said, like, you roll out of bed and the first thing that you do is grab your phone and you check your phone, right? And then you're like, logging in on to work, or you're in, the kids are on their devices, and then all of a sudden it's rush. So it's like you have those moments, right? That 10 to 15 minutes of literally just being with yourself. And sometimes that's scary though.
Well, yeah, because then this is probably what Cheyenne can touch on is then because when it's quiet, then you're with your own thoughts and quiet isn't always what people want, right? Because then you have to be in the thought process or process things. So I'm sure that's why people don't like the quiet.
Yes. Yeah. So how can we overcome that, right? A lot of us surrogates are type A, right? We like to control a lot. So what would you say would be like a good piece of advice to surrogates to try and overcome that fear of stillness, right?
Yeah. And I can speak to this one because for years I was very much like, the stillness was scary. Yeah. There was times where I was working 3 jobs because I was like, if the void wasn't filled, then I'm not fulfilled.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
Like I'm not enough.
If there's not chaos, then it's not normal, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Comfort in the chaos is a huge thing. And we don't realize how much we get comfortable in that chaos.
Yeah.
So I will say the stillness is crunchy at first. Yeah. It truly is. It's very foreign because we feel like we're not doing as much as we could be. And then the guilt comes in.
Yeah, you just took the words right out of my mouth because then I was going to say you feel guilty because like I'm a piece of junk because I'm just sitting here. Yeah. Okay. But, so you have to just move through that then.
Yes. You have to let yourself process all of those things because truly, what are you doing if you don't let yourself process that? You are projecting that onto everybody that you're coming into contact with because you didn't allow yourself those moments of feeling, those moments of stillness, that you're back into that chaos. And because somebody else is getting that moment of stillness, now you're projecting like, well, what? They're not worthy either. What are they doing? And we start to create those negative narratives through our mental minds when really it's not a them problem. It's a us problem because we didn't give ourselves the permission to have 5 minutes of stillness.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's crunchy. I will not lie. It is really uncomfortable at first to just sit and let those thoughts and things come up.
Right.
But there's also an opportunity to observe why the same thoughts are coming up. Where are those thoughts stemming from? Like, why do I feel guilty doing this? Where does that come from? Who told me that I can't have 5 minutes of And so then there's that deeper spiral of like, where can I heal the core of that? Because everybody is worthy of 5 minutes of self-care. Everybody's worthy to take care of themselves and nurture in ways that makes them the best version of themselves. So it's like a deeper dive in those moments to why we aren't getting or why we feel guilty doing that.
Yeah. So I used to struggle with that with reading, right? So I would be like, well, I can't sit down and read because then, oh, well, this has to be done. This has to be done. And, oh, and I would like panic and be like, well, I can't just sit down and read. And like, that's ridiculous. There's too much to be done, And so it took me quite literally decades just to not feel guilty to sit down and read, at the end of the day. And then for whatever reason, I don't know, maybe maturity, or you just get too exhausted to fight whatever's going on in your head. And you're like, well, I want to read my dang book now. But I think, like you're saying, I think you just have to work through that to get through. But I used to just be like, well, you can't sit down to read. Like, there's too much to do. And then I would just spiral and be like, well, I got to keep busy, and you just work yourself into a tizzy. So I think that's it. You maybe start with 5 minutes and then work up to 7 minutes, or start with 2 minutes. And then if you can't stand out there for a minute and be like, oh, the sun's beautiful. And if you can't stand it longer, then give yourself a little bit more time, but start somewhere at least. Yeah. Because ultimately, the more you do, your kids will follow. And then, you're breaking the pattern, and the kids will do it. And then the better you are, the better mother you are. And, it all goes down the line, right?
Yes. Yeah.
The better partner you can be, and, all of it.
Absolutely.
We got to fill up our cups first.
I mean, yeah, but we're the last to do it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like the perspective needs to be shifted, is like, it's not selfish of us to have to fill up our cups first.
Right.
Because who do we pour into? We pour into our kids, we pour into our family, we pour into our coworkers, we pour into our neighbors. But if we can't give ourselves that 5 minutes, then we're pouring from the drips that aren't there anymore. Mm-hmm. And then what do we feel? We feel exhausted. Right. We feel depleted at the end of the day. We're on edge. Our nervous system is completely dysregulated. Mm-hmm. Either we're overly emotional or we are completely disassociated. And that's not healthy either.
Right. No, true. Yeah.
And then you add in all the hormones as females, right? And then you add in all the hormones as, surrogates are being pregnant or fertility. So I really think that that's like fantastic tips and advice, and something that we should all take home.
Yeah. I mean, just as a whole, just as healing as mothers. I mean, I think like from teens and just generational, and, whatever decade you grew up in, you can find something that was put into us as each generation has gotten through it. But just as mothers, and like the older I've gotten, I see like, oh gosh, I wish I could have had this brain in my 20s, but like, you just can't, because you have to learn it. But I thought, oh gosh, like how differently could I have done it in my 20s and been such a different mother, but you just can't. You have to learn it, and you have to quite literally probably process it differently. But, whatever helps everybody feel more, the goal is for everyone to be happy. And I want everybody to be happy and taken care of.
Yeah. And that's the beautiful thing, like you said right now, Monica, if you had the brain you had then that you do now, it's like, we hold all this wisdom that we learn throughout each surrogacy or throughout each fertility journey. Mm-hmm. You take that, but you hold that little person that once went through it the first time with so much more compassion, because they did it without all the tools and wisdom you have now.
Just blind.
So you're like healing that small version of you that was like, oh my gosh, I just love that you survived and you did this and you brought beautiful life into this world. Mm-hmm. And then you keep doing it, and you're doing it better, and you're holding them in such different space. Mm-hmm. So that is so healing in itself, to know that you have this wisdom and knowledge that you overcame so much as that first younger version of you that went through this.
Yeah. So Hodge, that's actually a very good point, because so she just delivered, 6 weeks ago now, but her first, she had a rough go, lots of hurdles in the beginning, quite literally hurdle after hurdle, and then took a break, came back. And just from each delivery, it was so different. But I think that really touches on the processing of just going into it more experienced, and how it was your brain and your body processed it so different. And I think that really touches on what Cheyenne just said, is your body processed it differently and your brain processed it different, because you had a different level of maturity going into it.
Yeah. And a different level of kind of like let it go, or, probably like some subconscious breath work and technique, right? You like at a certain point, you have to tell your brain, release, right? Release it, just go with it. You can't control everything, but you can control yourself, your physical self, and like how you're controlling your mind and treating yourself. And And yeah, I mean, both deliveries were good, but
Right.
this
Different.
one was way better.
Yeah. I felt like this one was much more like spiritual and grounded for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause she did it completely natural and
Yeah.
really her choice and how she wanted it. And it kind of really, I think it changed your recovery quite significantly. And not to say that that's for everybody, but this was very
Right.
specific to her and what she wanted, because that's not for everybody. And that's not to say that that's what we're pushing by any stretch, but you know, so, but it's, I think that's really nicely said, Cheyenne, that, you know, we have to learn as we go through these things, like, you know, the broken path is not always broken because it's meant like to be bad. It just leads us to the right path. And
It's just
it's
a
hard
little
to
pivot.
see. Yeah, it's hard to see that. And it takes longer to get there, but it's that path for the reason, because we needed to get there, because we had to learn what we needed to get there. But it's so hard to see that in the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, to like put it back to surrogacy, like when we have delays or failed transfers, or we have to rematch, or, you know, it doesn't go exactly as planned, I usually, you know, I promise you, it typically works out. And it's so hard to see that in the moment, but it's all of those steps and those setbacks typically, or hurdles, get us to where it needs to be. But if those didn't happen, we wouldn't have gotten there, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's so hard to see that in the moment. And so, you know, I just think that this was so helpful. Like, just for me personally, like I'm going to use all of this on a day-to-day life, like no, without a doubt. But then just for surrogacy and, you know, just, I'm so grateful that, you know, you're one of our girls and that you're here to help everybody and be so supportive. And I think that, you know, we talked about this, now I'm going to cry, but like, you know, that we talked about this, like, I think people are put together for a reason. And like, I think that you're going to be so helpful to the girls.
Mama Mo, here she comes.
But I just think it's so cool. And I just think it's going to be so great, because I know the girls have such a hard time when it doesn't go as planned, or, you know, when it's hard. Oh, I can't do it.
Yeah.
So, but I just think it's so amazing. And I'm so grateful that you are willing and that you want to help the girls, and, you know, and also that, you know, surrogate, but you still have enough extra to give to help the other girls. So I'm super appreciative.
Well, and I think, like, to your point, Monica, like, it's so nice to know that there could just be very simple things that we can do as a surrogate after experiencing some sort of a loss or some sort of a trauma, or, you know, like the change in the process, or the journey, or those moments that we do need to just let it go and release it. So I think it's so valuable to share, because sometimes I feel like again, like me personally, and I'm sure it's very relatable for many, like it just seems like you can't allow yourself that time. But really, if it's just 10 minutes, like set the timer and go do it. Honestly, like I hate filling up my water cup. And one day I timed myself and it took me 30 seconds to fill it up. And I'm like, why am I freaking out about this?
Yeah.
You know, like similarly, right? Like we hype it up to just let ourselves do it.
Right.
And so to the point, like I just think it's just really awesome that you have the wisdom and the knowledge, the experience, and, you know, the professional
to back it up
on how we can get through those big feelings with some small, you know, effective techniques.
Well, and it always doesn't have to be big, right? Like it can be like, oh, the schedule got delayed, or an appointment.
But it makes us feel like it's big.
Correct. So like it can even be like, oh, we have to push it back a month. Well, but that's so defeating and so disappointing in that moment. So like, and that can be just as frustrating as like the big things or the big losses, right? So these techniques can still be applied, and it can still be just as disappointing and frustrating when it's like, oh, sorry, babe, like we got to do this. And you're like, you got to be kidding me. Like those still, even those like little schedule changes are just as disappointing and defeating, right? And so like it doesn't, to put it to context, like every little thing that doesn't go as planned is just as traumatic or disappointing as the big, major, big things too. So it's not, you know, it all applies, right? Yeah.
And that, like, to add on to that, our bodies don't know the difference between big trauma, little trauma. So our mind does. Our mind tries to create like, oh, it's just a schedule change, or it's just a loss. Our body thinks they're the exact same trauma.
Got it.
Yes, our bodies will still process it. Like, you talk about it being just a schedule change. It's like, yes, but our bodies were so disappointed
Mhm.
because it triggered that part of us that didn't have that control.
Oh,
Just like when we lose a baby, it triggers that same part of us because we lost that control.
got
And then it starts to stem into that worthiness. So yeah, doing these kind of techniques daily helps to regulate when those big things happen and when those little things happen. Our body has that wisdom right on check to be like, you know what, let's just breathe through it. Let's
Mhm.
just process it this way because we know how to. And it puts it back into that control again to where it's like, yes, it seemed like a big thing, or yes, it was a big thing, but I have the wisdom and tools to regulate this.
Yeah,
I know how to move this through my body now.
yeah, I love
Love
it.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So basically, we'll be going to you when we all have meltdowns now. Yeah.
And I
Um,
will be here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So tell everybody where we can find you, like a little bit more about your shop and, any plug that you want to do, like,
Yeah.
please, hype yourself up.
Yeah. So I'm always open to doing free group sessions because I think there's so much in creating community
Okay.
and being held in spaces amongst women going through the same thing. One of my favorite groups to hold is actually a womb healing because
Uh-huh.
as women, even though we've never had children or even though you've never experienced that, there's still trauma held in our womb because we have periods and
Mm.
we were carried in a womb and that mother was carried in a womb. So moving forward, I will be offering those. They're free. And I
Mm.
love that because it's just a space to heal. And I think everybody deserves to be held in healing. You can always find me on Facebook. That's probably my most platform that I use.
Okay.
I'm on Instagram and then I have heal.me. You can
Okay.
look me up on that. It's like spiritual embodiment practitioner Cheyenne Gallagher. It's really long. So if you just look me up on heal.me, you could probably find me there.
Okay.
Mostly Facebook though, and I do like to post to where you can just jump in. I do a lot of Zoom calls. I'm always open to doing a Zoom. If you're in Arizona, I don't mind traveling to come meet you. I do one-to-one sessions as well. And if you get on my heal.me, you'll see the wide variety of all other things I offer, not just breathwork, somatic, and Reiki. I do hypnotherapy as well,
Mhm.
past life regressions, things like that. So, yeah.
So if you're not local in Arizona, you do like sessions
Hmm.
remote, like via Zoom and stuff.
Yep. Yep.
And
I do
that's
Zoom.
okay. And that's a whole nother episode I want to do about hypnotherapy because
Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Now, do
Absolutely.
you have for your sessions that you offer for free, do you have like a schedule posted where women can just, register, or can you share one with us so we can share it,
Yeah, we'll
also
make
when
sure
we
you
when
tag
we
you and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, so I don't have them regularly scheduled. I try to do like pop-up ones a couple times a month. And I do try to post those about a week and a half prior to the event. That way everybody is able to make arrangements.
Cool.
They're usually about an hour, but I'm long-winded. So like 2 hours.
Sorry.
So they get to talking. And I like to leave a lot of space for everybody to have that moment of being heard too. Some people don't want it, but the offer will be there.
And
So yes, those
you
will
post
always be posted.
okay. You post those on your Facebook?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So we'll make sure to put all like your information
Facebook.
attached to the video too so people can find you. But yeah, we really, really appreciate you. I
Yeah.
I learned a lot.
I
So
did too.
yes.
And
And
I'm going to circle back about my morning sunlight,
okay, yeah.
and I'm going to notate how I feel,
Okay.
and
Yes.
kind of, yeah, let's do it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Do it, Monica. Let's do it together.
I know. I mean, anything to not put my phone in my hand the first 24 seconds I open my eyeballs is it better than anything.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
We
Because,
don't
well,
need
it
it.
sets the tone for the day. Because then you're
Exactly.
like,
Mhm.
oh, or like, oh, hooray, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't even lifted my head off the pillow sometimes. You know?
Yes.
But you're already connected
Yep.
to, all your social medias.
Right.
The
Or,
moment of
yeah.
disconnect that we need.
Or just whatever the day looks like. Right. So, I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
what's 5 more minutes, or 10 more
Hmm.
minutes? It's all still going to be there. So that's what we
Mhm.
need
Yeah.
to tell ourselves. Or if the kids aren't awake yet or whatever, right? We just have
Yeah.
to retrain ourselves the schedule
Hmm.
and allow it
Absolutely.
to happen. Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We got to hold each other accountable.
No, we put it on the schedule.
No. Real. It will have to be on the schedule but to make it happen, and then it will become natural. But yes, it will have to be on the schedule to start.
I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
Yeah, I love it. See, Cheyenne, you already healed us.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate. Yeah, I appreciate you on multiple levels. Like, oh, you know, of course, we appreciate you so much just for your willingness to be a surrogate and all of that. But this is amazing, and you know, I can't imagine how many people you've helped with all of this. You know, your healing, and it's remarkable. I'm
Thank you.
I learned so much. Yeah. 10 out of 10. Yeah. So I'm super excited, and you know, we'll do another whole episode on the hypno, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
absolutely.
super excited.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for the space to share and educate and help as much as I can. And I'm also just so great to be on this surrogacy journey with such an amazing company, because you guys have been so supportive, and I feel so held through this whole thing, even through the crunchiness of like the letdowns. It still feels really good.
Well, thank you. That means a lot coming from you, because then I'm like, am I doing this right? Now I'm going to question all of it, but I'm just going to do me. I'm just going to do how I always do it. But I feel like I talked you off the ledge pretty good. So I'm going to take that in high praise.
Thank you.
All right. Well, perfect. Well, thank you so much. This was amazing. And we will share all your social medias, and hopefully we can get other people connected with you. But we're so thankful, and we will talk to everybody soon. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, Cheyenne.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, bye.